Thanks for coming back and welcome to the In-Between. This is the podcast where we share and talk about third and cross-cultural experiences.
Today we're going to talk about being a TCK in Taiwan and how we felt when we were traveling or living in Taiwan. So relax, grab your drink, get comfortable, and surf the wave with us. Oh man, we're back here. Ready to start this episode? I know.
Yeah.
Exciting times. Well, as we introduced, we'll be talking a little bit about Taiwan today, right? And probably going to be focusing a lot on you and your background, living there and returning to it. To start, would you mind briefly walking us through your background, your timeline?
So as I previously introduced myself to all you guys, after I lived in Hawaii for about 10 years, I moved back to Taiwan around 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. At the beginning, I had to join the military service to complete the mandatory service for a year. Everything felt new to me at the time, man. More specifically, it was actually a reverse culture shock. Yeah, we're going to talk about more about it, but basically, I'm just going to put it in here.
Just to clarify, you were born in Taiwan, but you moved to the States, specifically Hawaii, at what age?
I was 15.
Okay,
yeah.
As a teenager. And it wasn't until, I think, after college, when I knew you, that you went back there.
Right. We knew each other for about maybe 3-4 years before I moved back, right?
Okay, gotcha. So it was probably in your, I guess, early 20s is when you went back.
I think 24. Yeah, something because I worked there for a year or so.
Right. So, I think it's called the OPT, right? Yeah.
That was pretty much an internship, but more of a working internship kind of stuff.
Gotcha. And if I recall correctly, you were living in Taiwan for about a year before you entered the military service.
Right. So even though I met some Taiwanese people when I was in Hawaii and before military service, but it didn't really mean I could adapt easily right after I returned, especially for that 1 year and then beyond for another year in the military service. So I have been away for so long, so it's unlikely that many Taiwanese people or students, I didn't come back, visited very often during those times.
Man, it's 10 years you're away from your home country.
I was pretty much just living in Hawaii and sometimes visited the mainland during those 10 years. And I think I only came back for 2 times.
Okay. Oh yeah, not much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe before we kind of get into the whole, cultural shock and that category of thinking, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like, growing up in Taiwan when you were young? What was your childhood like? What do you remember?
So basically it was... Before school, I was pretty much just playing all the time, that's for sure. But when it comes to education, that's pretty much just what happens all the time. It's full of education, cram schools, or school after school every single day, besides weekend though. But here's the thing. I think before 3rd grade or 4th grade, all the Taiwanese people and students have to go to school or go to work on Saturday, only for half of the day. And then later on, the government changed the policy that it becomes, 2-day weekend. Then as a student, we didn't need to go to school on Saturdays anymore.
Gotcha.
So which was good. But before that, there was a few years that I still remember I had to go to school like on Saturdays and stuff.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yeah. So that's how old we are, just to let you guys know.
6 days of school.
Well, maybe 5.5, but usually, because the parents have to go to work on Saturdays. So Asian kids. I'm not too sure how other Asian schools are, but Asian kids are. I had to go to, a little school after school on Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was hard. And the only playing time is Sunday every single week.
That important, vital Sunday, right?
I know. Just have to sleep more and then play more. like a crazy kid on Sunday. So because we have to go back to school on Monday, right? So
Did
yeah, so
you?
it's pretty much just all education. So it's pretty much all education before I moved to Hawaii.
Gotcha. How about any sports? Did you play any sports at your school?
No, I was a fat kid. I was a fat kid, like about maybe like 160 centimeter, but I was like 70 something kilogram.
Oh, you're a big boy.
I was a big boy. But the only sports I played was basketball. So I played basketball when I was 10, since 10 years old.
I see.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to dig a little bit deeper into your childhood and about the culture in Taiwan. What would you describe it as? Would you say it's more like a collectivism or individualistic culture? How were you expected to behave among your friends and your teachers?
Well, it's pretty easy. Because as a lot of people know, Asian kids are famous for just following rules, right?
Okay.
So that's pretty much what most of the Asian kids are. If you don't follow the rules, you'll get punished. If you have to get good grades. You have to compete with others to see whose grades is greater.
Okay, very
so
competitive.
it's pretty much like that. So I would say before 15 years old, I wasn't really competitive in academically, but I was trying to make a living academically. I would say, yeah, because I'm actually not the type of person that, just sit down, read the book and just absorb all the things from the book. I'm more of like learning from doing
I see.
kind of a person. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, if that answers your question.
Well, what if the teacher asks a question in class where you're like, I know the answer, pick me, or you're more like, I'll stay quiet and see what everyone else does?
Oh, I'll stay quiet all the time. I don't want to speak up. I did not want to speak up at all. Yeah, because I think because most of the people are doing that at that age or in that educational environment. So I don't think Asian kids are like that.
It was definitely not like that in my Japanese classes. Everyone stayed quiet unless they were called upon.
Right. So we only answer when teachers called us to answer. We don't actually say, like back in the States, you know how it was. If you know the answer and you feel free to speak up to share what you think. But in Asia, it wasn't like that at all. Not even close.
When I was in elementary school back in Japan, I think it was during recess, I tried to take control of what we were doing at the time by kind of leading, by suggesting what we should do for that playtime. But later it kind of came back around to bite me in the ass, where the other kids felt like I was exercising my individualism and they didn't tend to like that. I should have been more patient and waited for everyone to kind of like just see what the vibe was instead of just saying like, we're going to do this.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same in Taiwan. Yeah, it's pretty much the same because Taiwan was colonized by Japan once a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the history. Yeah, so a lot of the educational system was adopted from the Japanese culture. Yeah.
Understandable. Okay. Well, I think we got a pretty good idea of what your background in Taiwan looked like before you moved to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's start talking about what life felt like once you arrived in Hawaii, your first year in the States. What did that look like? What were your feelings?
Exploring. Everything is new and just feel like, oh, this is a different life compared to what I had before. Yeah. And the funny thing is I was pretty much jumped right into a group or a socialized life right after I landed, because I always remember the date I landed in Hawaii was January 1st. And then after a couple of days of adjusting the jet lag, I had to go to school and register for the coming semester. But that was still during the winter break at that time, right? I mean, it was just New Year time, so it's pretty much just a winter break for schools. And then when I got to the school for the registration, there was nobody at the school besides all the administrators, all the ladies in the office or something like that. And then it was a short, cute Japanese Hapa kind of but Hawaiian related lady walking down to the hall and going to the office and saw saw me. And then apparently that the office lady was communicating with the lady who walked down and then talking about like how like introduce me to her or something like that. This is the new international students and so and so. And then she was looking at me. She was short. She looking up at me and she was like, "Do you play basketball?" Speaking with a really slow speed, and I was like, I only could answer like yes or no kind of thing. But so I said yes. She wrote down something on the piece of paper and then gave it to my homestay family.
Okay.
And then apparently that after I flashed back, and then apparently that she told the homestay family says, please bring him to this place at this time tomorrow, or maybe 2 days after, or something like that. And it was a tryout for the basketball team. It was a tryout.
How'd that go?
Oh, it went well.
Go ahead.
I never had a really systematic basketball training before that.
Okay.
But apparently, I was lucky enough to jump into the JV team.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a tryout for the JV team, and I got in. So funny how why I said everything was pretty much just exploring the new life was because the basketball season starts before the school starts.
Right.
So right after the tryout, I was selected. They opened up, okay, they decided, okay, you can be on the team. Let's see how you go in this semester in a new season. So, but I didn't have my physical yet for the sports, but I was on the team for the first game before the school starts.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody saw there was an Asian kid now wearing the uniform.
Were you the only Asian?
I wasn't the only Asian on the team, but I was a new kid that nobody had met before, but was already on the team.
I see. How'd they treat you when they first met you? They're like, "Who are you?" Or were they friendly? I mean,
they were pretty friendly. But I don't think most of the friends and family just wondering who this guy is. 6'1", kind of skinny at the time. I think I was like 160 pounds or something like that.
Sure.
150, 160 pounds, something like that. So they were just wondering who this kid is. Some of them were like, oh, finally we have a big Asian guy. So
I see. So you had more of a bigger set of fella.
Yeah, so I got to know a lot of people in the community from that game one, even though I was just wearing my own clothes, no uniform, sitting at the end of the bench. People introduced me to a lot of people.
So it seems like you found your community through basketball when you got to Hawaii.
Big time. Not only basketball, but also other sports too, because I played 3 sports back then.
Right. Basketball, maybe you said tennis.
Volleyball and tennis.
Understood. Okay. Gotcha. So needless to say, we see that sports was a huge deal for you. It was how you mingled with other people. You started to learn English that way and really got to find your roots in the state.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely something that I had. I was lucky to have sports to be with me, to train me, to get me into the society and the community and get to know a lot of people from that. What I think I was lucky because I did not have any homesick, because I did not have the time and energy to have homesick.
That's a good
through
strategy.
all the training, the stuff. Yeah. So I think it is really important. And further down, when I travel to other places and stuff, and if I miss something or miss the family back home, keeping myself busy is one of the strategy. And that's actually really helpful. Yeah, so I think a lot of people, because I think too many people are having homesick here and that. It's okay with that. It's actually okay to have homesick, but when you have to do something, away from home, just keep yourself busy and get yourself in the right mindset, whether you're going overboard for work or for some other stuff. Focusing on what you're doing is the biggest help that you can get out of homesick, for sure.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Now let's zoom out a little bit. And I want to ask you, when you first got to Hawaii, what was maybe the biggest shock for you that felt a little bit different or perhaps off, that didn't quite sit right with you, at least at first, compared to your life in Taiwan?
I would say it's being more open-minded and being more free. Yeah, be more free. It's because back in Asia, you have to follow all the rules and teachers' rules or something like that. But in the States, the education is more open.
Okay.
You feel more discussion in the class. That's something that actually wasn't used to at the beginning, because I feel like I still need to be quiet in class and stuff, only
Exactly.
absorbing all the knowledge from the teacher. But later on, I got more used to it, and I feel more comfortable discussing with my classmates and my teachers about something that I did not understand.
As the years went by, did you feel like you could more openly speak up at school, at class?
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And especially I have to discuss strategies and how it works on the sports team. So that developed me to speak up what I feel like, what I think is better, my suggestion to other people, and receiving advice from other people as well. There was more interactions, and on top of the language barrier that got me to have to speak out more in precise vocabularies to express my thoughts and let them know how I feel in more of the direct way or indirect way, sort of things.
I see. Would you say that was maybe your biggest challenge while living in Hawaii, or was there something else, maybe even outside of school, that you had difficulty adjusting to?
Not really, though. I think I really got into the community and also get to know the people quite well. Of course, I'm not saying that I know all of the people or something like that, but I feel like I lived there. I lived there with pretty much no problem. Yeah, pretty much no problem.
Would you say you would have had like a similar experience if you had moved to a different state in the U.S., or do you think Hawaii was a good match for you?
I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure if I go to other states, I'll have the same experience and the same result. But I think a lot of reasons that I can get I can get a better living experience in Hawaii is because there is no majority in Hawaii, right? So they adopt and they accept most of the Asian culture
right
over there. Yeah. So I think that's an advantage. That's a really advantage and the pro side of that, a good side of that. So
major American cities in general have a pretty good mix of different people, but Hawaii as a whole has a pretty good mix of people as a state level, right?
That's right.
So I think it's somewhat unique compared to other states, perhaps.
It's easier for Asians to live in Hawaii for sure. That is 100%. I'm 100% confident to say that.
Well, let's start talking about your return to Taiwan at this point. Before you returned, how did you think going back to Taiwan would feel like? And, what were you most confident about? Or what were you worried about before you went back?
I had a really mixed emotions about coming back to Taiwan, to be honest with you. I didn't return often, like I said, so everything felt actually new to me. So what I feel most confident was I already had a few friends, both from Taiwan and the US. So they were living in Taiwan before. And when I came back, they were living in Taiwan at that time. So I knew I wouldn't be too lonely if I want to catch up and hang out. But what I worry about most was the culture difference, especially interacting with people who were born and raised in Taiwan. I knew there would be a big gap in the culture references and communication styles between me and the people. So unless someone has already understood my background, I was worried about that. They might not know who I really was. Yeah. They might not see they don't see me as a banana because they thought I'm born and raised. Yeah. I wouldn't go around and tell people that I'm banana anyway. So
did you have any expectations that were like realistic or unrealistic upon going back in terms of the expectation you had for yourself of how you would integrate back into the society? Or did others, like your family or friends there, have expectations of you or how you should behave?
Well, for sure they're used to see me as a kid that always say yes or something like that. They had to follow the rules and stuff. But besides that, I think definitely how difficult it would be is truly understand each other. Either me understand the other people, or people understand me. Whether at work or when I make new friends, was actually harder than I expected. Over the year, I've adjusted a lot to adapt myself more to the local societies, but the reverse culture shock never completely disappeared, even after 15 years. Yeah. I also couldn't expect people to understand who I was back then. All I could do was just learn from the local culture as much as I could in order to blend it.
I see. Right. The blending, right?
Yeah, the blending.
When you kind of told people that, hey, I've been living in the US for 10 years, did they seem curious about your background? Or were they like, oh, yeah, that's great, but, we expect you to, change or be more like us? How were they understanding or uninterested?
From the way I saw, at the time when I just moved back, Taiwanese societies was pretty much in between of sort of accepting students from abroad and foreign people. And what we are now is pretty much having more more accepting of the foreigners and studying abroad people, because there are more and more people start to live overseas and come back for a living. So they adapted pretty well. But I was pretty much right in between. So they didn't. I wouldn't tell my new friends that I study abroad unless they ask me where I went to school.
Okay. I mean, you're a special situation because obviously you're not a foreigner, you're a local, but your insight is very much foreign, probably. Yeah.
A big part of it, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't say I had a study abroad experience unless they asked me what was my education background, but. I would slowly tell them that I might think differently. What I would probably show I think the same as them, but later on, if they get to know me and then know my background a little bit more, they will be like, oh, so how was the life studying abroad? I was like, oh, okay, here, this and this, so and so. So just slowly, I wouldn't just tell them right away.
Once they got to know you, did they see you as like someone who's local or foreign or something in between?
Most of the people still see me as local,
okay.
but I would say my localness was only up to 14 years old. whatever in between 14 and 20-ish. In the early 20s, I don't know anything about anything in Taiwan during that period of time.
I'm sure there were situations with friends there where they were talking about something and you were like, what are you guys talking about? I missed that.
Yeah, I was totally in the cloud, like where the heck am I? Yeah.
I hear on that note, can you share like a specific interaction or situation where you felt kind of out of place?
Well, yeah, I got into a big fight while I played basketball. Back in the States, being competitive is pretty normal, yeah?
Sure.
So people play rough all the time as long as there is no intentional hurt of someone. But when I play at the park in Taipei back then, people often thought the American style was too rough on purpose.
I see.
Especially when people block out and try to grab rebounds and stuff. Some players would get emotional, or even angry about my defense, or they would assume that I intentionally trying to be aggressive. So I was really just playing tighter defense because my team was losing. If that was the case. Yeah. So over the year, I toned down my playing style a little bit to adopt the playing style over here. So yeah.
Do you think the military service had any effect on that part of you or your sense of identity?
I think yes, and it's actually not a small portion of that, because I had to really tone down myself in order to survive in that environment. Even though I receive an order that I don't like, I still have to follow it,
of course,
in order to make the day, right? So
I see. So it sounds like some of your overseas experience did work against you, and well, whether it was playing basketball back in Taiwan or serving in the militaries.
Yeah, and then later on, it carries to my career working in Taiwan.
Really?
For sure.
How so?
Yeah, because most of the companies over here, you have to follow orders from your managers and stuff too, right? In order to,
of course,
to get the stuff done. And so that most of the male managers, they've been through military service as well. So they carry that kind of hierarchy, managerial style. I wouldn't say it's going to be, it's not necessarily to be strict, but following order is the main point for different positions. So they carry on that managerial style to work, and expecting the members in the team to follow the order in order to achieve the same goal in business.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, especially growing up in Japan, hierarchy is a very common thing here.
Big time, right?
Right, big time. Back in the States, you may get away with maybe, disagreeing with your boss or countering him with a different idea just to kind of move the discussion forward. But
there was a room for discussion and negotiation. Not necessarily it's fighting back. It's more of an open discussion, kind of a there's a space in between. So in order to achieve a better result, if possible or if necessary. But there is no such thing in Asian society, and especially workforce.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like there was a lot of ups and downs, man. At what point did you realize this wasn't just adjustment stress, but reverse culture shock?
Wow. Honestly, not until later. Not until many years after I moved back. First of all, I did not even know the term of reverse culture shock at the time. But after I learned it from you, I look back and realize what I had experienced right away, probably within first 6 months after returning.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I realized way later than right at the time. Yeah.
How do you think it showed up for you? Did it look like emotional stress for you? Were you frustrated? Were you stressed? How did it?
I was actually shocking though. If you want to talk about how I see this, at first I did not know reverse culture shock was a normal as part of the culture shock process or the progress. I kept thinking, how is it possible that I cannot fit in the place where I was born?
I remember some of those conversations. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So people would literally say things like, "Oh, I seriously don't understand you at all," or how can you think that way?" or "How can you think this way?" And instead of asking questions to understand a person, not just necessarily to me, but as a person, so it felt like they were doubting me because they expected me to be 100% the same as someone born and raised in Taiwan.
Gotcha. How did you cope with it? Did you kind of seek help from maybe your parents or friends, or did you just kind of internalize this until you finally were able to adapt?
Well, family, girlfriends, and a few of close friends for sure. At least someone or some people that understood my background, and they were willing to listen. Those are the first group of people that I went to.
Okay. Were there any specific advice that you received that kind of helped you to stay grounded? Recall any specific moments where you felt like you were making progress?
Yeah, there was a story that I had a fight with this colleague, and now we're friends. His name is Alan. I can always remember the story. So he is born and raised Taiwanese. Well, he had some study abroad, like a working holiday kind of thing in Australia, but he mainly grew up in Taiwan. And when we were working for the same company, he was pretty much like 6 months or maybe a little bit more earlier than me got into the company. And so he spoke to me with, sort of like a hierarchy at the beginning.
I see. Okay.
But I wasn't really frustrated about if he is in the company earlier than me or not, the way he spoke. He knows, we all have our own profession and something that we know more than another person, but I speak it out, I speak up, I share my feelings about why he has to be in such way. And he was shocked because he did not realize he spoke that way and made me feel like he is demanding me.
Wow.
I think that's all in nature, because you live in that environment, you live in that sort of a style for so long, and you become like that naturally. It was naturally developed that way. So he did not realize until I say so. And later on, after like an hour conversation about how we feel, there was one thing that he told me straight up, that he was just feeling that he could help. And so he spoke the way that he is used to.
I see.
So he felt like he was just giving advice, but he didn't realize that he was expressing in a hierarchy way. I think a lot of people is like that. I think a lot of people in Taiwan are like that. Yeah.
It seems like he felt like he was a boss and he knew better, and that he would say his piece and feel like that was final, perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah. But I said, I told him that he can say it in a different way, more in the advice way instead of more demanding way.
Okay.
And I'm sure there is always a space, a room of discussion. Not necessarily it has to be a negotiation, but for discussion for sure. And so we talk it out, and then we're close friends ever since.
I mean, it's great you spoke up and could let him know from your perspective, right? Because I'm sure it sounds to me that no one ever did that, and he never knew until you did.
Yeah, there was. I think the thing that I learned from reverse culture shock was it has to be both ways. Because reverse culture shock is from the standpoint who got shocked. For example, me and you, to the local societies. But reverse culture shock is actually something that requires the other side, which is the local society, also giving the time and energy to understand the person who got shocked. Doesn't matter. It has to be a foreign person or a person who study abroad. You know, people study abroad means that in his background, there was a certain period of time that is not living in the local society where he or she is in right now. That means he or she has something in the background that worth the local people to learn from, or to at least understand from. So that requires a both way. That's why I feel like I had to talk it out, because I did not do that for understand the local society and the people who born and raised in Taiwan, but also letting my friend Ellen knows what a study abroad person think and act for him to understand.
I love that. There's no rules saying that you can't shock the local society when you go back.
Right. Yeah. Because there's no rule, and there's no no to say you cannot do that. Right.
Right. And maybe it's good advice to our listeners that when you do go into a new culture, that it's okay to bring some of your own culture back there, to share it, to speak up, and to cause a few ripples. You might meet resistance, but in the long run, it could be to your benefit and to theirs as well. And
100%.
Jon here, right, is good friends with that fellow now.
100%, yeah. So like we share and we talk more about ourselves every single time when we meet. He's a really cool entrepreneur right now, and he's doing the best of he is in the society, and best luck to him for sure. And but this is actually something that we all learn from each other. And I think that was a really good experience of talking things out, communicate with people that around you, which you can learn from them, and then they can learn from. That's the most important thing, I think. Yeah.
Well, looking at where you are now, how do you identify today? Do you feel like you're more Taiwanese, more international, or somewhere still in between?
Oh, I think it's still in between for sure. It's like a chameleon. It has to be. It depends on the vibe, though. Depends on the vibe. Taiwan is so much more multicultural right now, more than before. So it's normal to have someone to have a mixed background. So I can be more Taiwanese or be more international when I need to be. So maybe it ends up being neither sometimes, but at least I understand both sides. And I'm still learning. That will never stop. But what I had experienced, especially from the Allen story, that it actually got me to have a second thought when I talk to people, when he or she is saying something that I realize that sometimes I have to take a moment and think about why he or she thinks that way. And in order to have a question back to them saying, oh, why do you think that? What's the reason, or what was your background which made you think this way? That gave me something that to think about and actually affect my behavior of trying to understand others a little bit more.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one last question. If you could give some advice to perhaps a younger self or maybe some teenagers now from Taiwan who are about to embark on a study abroad program, or even someone who's getting ready to come back to Taiwan, what is your core message that you want to give these young people, these youths, of what they should take to heart when, going abroad or coming back to their home country? What mindset should they follow in order to be successful in their adventures?
Well, to be honest, I think people need to treat and see culture shock or reverse culture shock more seriously. When we move to other places, culture shock is like a game. Culture shock is like something fun because it is something that you've never seen before. But reverse culture shock is a pain in the ass because you feel like you understand it, but you don't anymore. So treating culture shocks or reverse culture shock more seriously and cautiously, that's actually something without a doubt. That's my suggestion. So because I did not know about this, so it literally impacted me heavily after I moved back, especially for a reverse culture shock. So I took it in a negative, and it fed my negativity for quite a long time.
I see.
So if I had understand it was a normal phase of a culture shock process, I think I would have been much kinder to myself. And later on, I spent a lot of time to adjusting, accepting it, and forgiving myself for taking it so hard.
Excellent.
So
advice, Jon.
I think it has to be treated. You can treat it more. You can treat a culture shock with more relaxed way, but don't get it too easy.
It's a serious thing, but you shouldn't be blaming yourself for what you're going through. That's what I'm hearing.
Don't do that. Yeah, seriously, don't do that because it's not your fault. You went out for something you think is better for yourself in your life, and when you need to come back, you just show the world who you are. Don't take yourself too hard, and just naturally showing yourself, naturally talking to people, and let them to understand you much better instead of blaming this, blaming that, or even blaming the society not understand you. That's just waste of time. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll close it there today. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. Glad to have you here, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Shoot!